Okay, hi, everyone. My name is Nerissa Ramsey, and I am mom to Curran, who is a 7-year-old diagnosed with HIVE-P2 disorder back in 2015. At that time, there were only 3 other known cases of HIVE-P2, and we weren't even on the map. But Simon Searchlight took us under their wing in 2016, and our small community has grown and learned more about HIVE-P2 from the wonderful support we've received from Simon's. Curran has multiple and complex disabilities, and we've tried many conventional and non-conventional interventions. And I am thrilled to help facilitate this parent-led session and can't wait to hear from you all.
And my name is Haley Oyler. I'm the president and founder of SETBP1 Society and the proud mom to Nicole, who is 10 years old and has SETBP1 disorder. SETBP1 Society was formed 1 year after Cole's diagnosis, as there was no support group, no SETBP1 community existed, no organization dedicated to spreading awareness and promoting research, and there were no active researchers. Simon Searchlight has been with us on this journey each step of the way. In 2017, when we formed, they added our gene to their study. And I'm so happy to join Nerissa today and to be here virtually with all of you, my fellow parents of children with rare neurodevelopmental disorders.
We are excited to have you all join us after 2 full packed days of presentations and learning from researchers dedicated to making a difference. We want to thank Simon Searchlight for organizing this conference and for bringing so many diverse groups of people together from around the globe. And we hope you've learned a lot and feel inspired.
You all may be wondering what this session's all about. This is meant to be an interactive and informal way to find out what other people are trying in terms of successful therapies, approaches, or tools. You're all encouraged to share freely and openly about traditional and alternative methods that have really made a difference in your child's progress or enjoyment in life. Please note that what will be shared today are not official recommendations or endorsements, but rather a brainstorming session. We're all just parents talking and sharing together.
Those are great points, Haley. And we're very much looking forward to this speed sharing brainstorming session where you have the mic and the opportunity to share recommendations about what's working for your child's development.
So here are some ideas to kickstart your thinking about how you can share today. What has been the most impactful therapy in helping with your child's development? What hacks have you discovered along the way? Do you have advice for what has worked particularly well when your child was between birth and, let's say, 7 years old?
And here's how the session will work. If you want to speak verbally, please raise your virtual hand at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And once you do that, you will be added to our panelist queue. And when we're ready for you to speak, a staff member will privately message you that you're up next. You'll be prompted to become a panelist. Please accept and be sure to join your computer audio. As a panelist, please keep your mic muted and your camera turned off while the person before you is finishing up their idea. And once you are introduced, unmute yourself, turn on your camera, and begin talking. You'll have 1 minute to introduce yourself and share your recommendation or idea with everyone on the call. And a sound will chime when the 1 minute time limit is reached. And at that point, you have 15 seconds to wrap up. We want to hear from as many parents as time allows, so please be respectful of the 1 minute time limit. And for attendees not comfortable with speaking, please type your answer in the chat feature and our moderators will share your response. Also, if you do not speak English, please feel free to type your response in your preferred language and we will translate your response.
Thanks, Nerissa, for sharing how parents can engage in this session. We also pasted the instructions on this page in the description section in case you forget or have questions. Keep in mind that a member of this Simon Searchlight team will document the ideas shared in this brainstorming session and share them out in a resource document in the next few weeks. We will kick off this session with this first open question. What has been the most impactful therapy or method in helping with your child's development?
Okay. And I can start off by sharing for us personally some of the methods that were talked about by Marissa in the oral motor speech deficiencies have been tremendously helpful for us. So we've tried prompt, Kaufman method, and other apraxia-based speech therapy methods, and they've made a huge difference. For years, my son was nonverbal or limited verbal abilities, and he didn't start making significant progress until we were really targeting those apraxia-based interventions that have made a huge difference. So it's really important to make sure that you're aligned with the right kind of SLP and that they're experienced in the types of techniques that are going to most benefit your child.
Yeah, I can second what Nerissa is saying. Those types of therapies have made a huge difference for my son Cole as well. I see that we have someone coming up ready to speak. So I believe Farnek, you now can share your therapy or method that's helped your child.
Hi. I'm Franky. I have a 16p microdeletion son. He is 7 years old. He was diagnosed when he was 3. And so for the last 4 years, we've had very aggressive therapies in every area possible. The one thing that's really helped my son was in OT, they did something called astronaut training, where they stimulate the vestibular system, and that seemed to make a really big difference for him. I just want to take my minute really quick to say I'm a physician and studied molecular cell biology. I've had a really hard time trying to make my son understand what genes are, what he's going through, and all of the associations with it, like obesity, like you can't eat this while your sister can because you have this condition, and I couldn't find any books on it either. So I've written a series of books to try to explain at a kid level what genes are, what chromosomes are, and how to explain, to them what it is. But I'm having a very hard time with the art. So if there are any parents who want to collaborate with me in making this book series, we can have all the proceeds go to Simmons and try to make it available to all our kiddos so that they can learn on their level what it is that they're going through, and not to be, ashamed, or not to be, and that's all I'm going to say. That's my minute. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Farnek. Those were wonderful ideas. Next up, we have Nicole. You have the floor to share with everyone. Go ahead.
Sorry, I had a few minutes of technical difficulty. Can you hear me at least?
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
I don't know why the camera isn't working, but
we can see you.
Oh, you can. Okay. It doesn't show on mine. So I guess like the things that I think have benefited my son, and he has SETBP1, is, well, speech therapy, like we all talked about. I'm fortunate enough in that he goes to private speech therapy 4 mornings a week, in addition to what he gets through the school system. And that's made a tremendous difference. But probably the thing that surprised me the most that benefited him was when he was doing occupational therapy. Most of it was hydrotherapy in the pool. It really, really helped his sensory issues because he was finally getting resistance and enjoyed making motions and actions, and really, I think, benefited his motor planning skills because the hydrotherapy just elevated him to another level. And then the only other 2 things I would add is that Oh, my time is up already. All right. Well, it's sign language and horseback riding, and that's it.
Hey, thanks, Nicole.
Sorry about that.
You
Bye.
did awesome. Thanks for sharing. And Teri, you are up next and you have the floor to speak.
Hi, my name is Teri and I have a son. He is 19 right now, turning 20 shortly. We actually did the horse therapy. We started him at age 2. We needed to do that to strengthen his trunk muscles to be able to walk. I am such an advocate of horse therapy that we are still continuing to do it today. He did not start speaking till age 8, and so we use sign language to tell the horse walk on until the verbal started to be able to start saying the commands to the horse. So the horse therapy is the wonderful piece to have that your kids don't realize they're having therapy at the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teri. Horse therapy, hippotherapy, animal-assisted learning, all wonderful things. I will also share another one that personally greatly benefited my son. He's not quite walking on his own, so he's had very, very delayed gross motor. And we discovered CME, which is now sometimes called DMI, or dynamic movement intervention, for gross motor treatment. And our son made really great gains with this technique. And it's an approach for physical and occupational therapy that focuses on alignment, sensory integration, and function. And it's been developed specifically for children with neurological disorders. And it's most commonly used as part of an intensive therapy program. So we've had the opportunity to participate in that 3 times now, and every time my son makes huge gains in his balance and his ability to continue to work towards walking independently.
I'll go ahead and share one as well. So one that I want to share may not be too uncommon, but it's nice to hear of someone else's experience. And it is the just ADHD medication, the stimulant medication. It has made such a difference in my son Cole's life. When he was in kindergarten for the first basically 9+ weeks, they said his learning was just stagnant. It wasn't going anywhere. And although Cole's learning has always been on a slower path, it always has been a very slight, at least a slight progression. And the moment we put him on stimulants, then it was night and day. And now if one morning he, some reason doesn't get it, we've had this happen this year. One time they were texting me within the hour saying, does Cole have his meds? And then I check and see it's under his cereal bowl. And I'm like, oh, he didn't quite get it. And the other thing to note is we started him late in kindergarten, so he didn't start that until 7. So I am just mentioning that is the age he started. He's 10 now, and it's been a huge benefit.
That's wonderful, Haley. Alicia, I believe that you are up next to share with everyone. Thank you for joining. Go ahead.
Hi. Hi. I'm Alicia. I have a 26-year-old son, Andrew, and I just wanted to say ongoing speech therapy. He's actually just finished speech therapy, but Andrew has actually still continued to progress in his speech. So I wanted to give hope. He has Med13L, recently diagnosed. And it's kind of funny because he's like the old man on the block. And now I'm hearing all these babies and toddlers being diagnosed, and we just found out. But he's continuing to make progress. He's been mostly nonverbal, but he's actually starting to talk more and more. He uses an augmentative communication device, which I would highly recommend. We've used more expensive and sophisticated devices in the beginning, but now he just uses an iPad mini, which he wears, and uses a app called Sonaflex, which wasn't discussed today, but very easy to use, and we like it. The only other therapy that we've used a lot over the years, that I would say was really good was cranial sacral therapy. We used that as a toddler and really helped improve Andrew's stability. He fell a lot. So anyway,
Well,
love the conference. It's great.
Thanks, Alicia, for sharing. I think that's a really good reminder too, that our kids' communication skills continue to grow and grow as regardless. And so it's really good to hear too, as if parents get frustrated, there's always, we see a lot of changes even as they get older. I was going to throw in, one more question just while we're answering some of these questions, just something else another question to be thinking about. So another question to think about is, what hacks have you discovered along the way? So something else to just be thinking about as we're, in addition to the question we are currently posed.
Yep. And also we have a response to share anonymously. The most impactful thing for my son, age 9, CSNK2A1, has been finding a small school where his class size is under 10 students, a shorter school day, and no vacation breaks longer than 4 weeks. This has really enabled him to access education unlike before. Wonderful points about really trying to individualize that educational setting to make it work for your child. Thank you.
And I'm going to throw another question out there too. So it's 2 questions or 3 questions at this point to be thinking about. So what kind of equipment, tools, or technology has made your life easier? And I have one that I would like to share that if your child has different sensory issues, so Cole has sensory issues, and at a couple points in his life, he didn't really like to be touched much or hugged. And what we found is we did this type of brush therapy. It's not like the official researched therapy, but you know, when your baby's born and they give you a little scalp brush that they comb their hair with, or they use during bath time, it's a really soft brush. Well, we actually used that brush on him just a couple times a day, going in one direction, mainly down his legs or his arms, like where he was comfortable. And doing this regularly within 2 weeks, I know it sounds really strange, but within 2 weeks, we could go back and forth on his arms and it didn't feel sensitive anymore. And we could go both directions and he was comfortable with hugs again. And we've done that twice he was about 4 or 5, somewhere around there. And it was something small and it made a big difference.
That's wonderful, Haley. And I've got a hack that we discovered. Again, my son isn't walking on his own yet. So we found a nonprofit called Stepping Stones for Stella. And they provide beach wheelchairs free of charge to individuals, children that need them. And that was really a game changer for us because we live in Florida. We live 10 minutes away from the beach, and it was always so much work, trying to get through the sand and carry all the things that come along with a family going to the beach. So it's just wonderful to be able to have things like that make the beach and outdoor areas where it's hard to go over rough terrain with those big wheels more accessible.
Well, thanks, Nerissa. And I highly encourage parents, we want to see your faces. So one of the reasons we wanted to really have this session is to get to see a lot of your faces. And there's another comment that was shared anonymously that I'll share with y'all. It says, in addition to the ones already mentioned, occupational therapy has been very beneficial for my child. OTs are so amazing at connecting motor skill development and speech and other areas. We went back and taught my son to crawl, which is linked to being able to connect words and form phrases. It sounded far-fetched at first, but once he learned to coordinate his arms and legs to crawl, the phrases started popping out. We also have used graphic organizers, calendars, lists, etc., to better communicate with our son because he can read, and knowing schedules lowers anxiety. Thanks for sharing.
That's wonderful. Teri, looks like you've joined us. Please feel free to share.
I'm going to share just some phrases and things as the hacks that we have done. Starting with the one came from my friend Drew. She had the "Oh wow" card and it says "wow" on it. And so she would use it at her child. So yes, I understand that we wanted to go to the zoo, but oh wow, things have changed and we've got to go to the doctor now because your brother broke his arm. And she would pull that out as the signal to let her child know, hey, things are changing with our routine, even though we have promised this. With my own child, we came up with a lot of phrases to use. So he would be understanding behavioral things that he needed to do. And so like calm and make him take a deep breath is on, or 3, 2, 1, this job is done. But whenever our kids would get really whiny, fussy, and start doing that little tantrum dance going that we've all seen our kids do, I would say, hey, if you're doing drama, it goes to someone else's mama. This mama does not take it. And suddenly the behavior can change. I also use that on other people's kids, which is the drama goes to your mama, not to me. But it's just using phrases and rhymes to help regulate and understand what is expected of our children when we're out doing things. Thank you.
Thanks, Teri, for sharing. Claire, you are up next. You have the floor. And Claire, I don't know if you were able to hear me, but it's your turn to speak if you have something you would like to share with us.
While we wait for that, I'll also share. I know that multiple people have talked about the power of AAC, but that has definitely helped our son as well. And I feel like it was a struggle. It took years, and but being able to get access to a robust communication system where we were able to model not only just wants and needs, but feelings and funny sayings and, you know, the latest trendy things that kids like to talk about, like the dab and all of those different types of functional communication has really helped. And I know Nerissa brought it up, but definitely was not the case for us either, that AAC definitely did not hinder my son's verbal communication. It really complemented his verbal communication, and I think that it's a great thing to try if you've got a child that is completely nonverbal or a child that has articulation issues and it's not easy to understand. It can pretty much help in any situation. So
I think Claire may be ready to speak. Hi, Claire, you have the floor. Hope I see that she is unmuting, but maybe it's not coming through. Okay, I think, well, we might be having some technical difficulties there. Nicole, you have the floor.
Oh, there we go. Oh.
So, Nicole, you have the floor.
Okay, I wasn't sure because in the connection process, I might have gotten lost. But the hacks and the technologies and things and weird things that have worked for us too is he always sleeps with a heavy blanket. I mean, I know those are really popular in the general public now, but that's been great. My son is also a runner, doesn't understand this concept of stranger danger or anything else. And when he gets distracted, he just wants to go see what's over there. And he's been lost a couple times. So we have invested in the Angel Sense GPS system, which is based off cellular towers. So it can tell us exactly where he is, and we put it in his pocket and he can't take it off. And that's been great. And then the weird thing that's really, I think, improved his speech the most is he listens to Hamilton every day, most of the time, but listening to the hip hop of it and the rhyming words and the way that he can anticipate what the next words are has actually greatly improved his speech, and he's attempting words he never had before. And I also found that even with other Broadway shows that works well too, because it's rhyming, and he can anticipate it, and he enjoys the beats and the melodies that go along with it. And that has made him say so many more words than I ever even thought he would be capable of saying. So that's all, but thank you very much for your time. I think this is a great idea.
Thank you, Nicole. We really appreciate it. I think, Claire, I saw your video come on. Do you want to try to join us?
Sorry, I finally worked out how to use the equipment. Technical error. Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly say one of the things that we have found helpful is keeping our daughter Kirsty in the same school age group as the rest of her peers. So not holding her back and not putting her in a special school. We found that's been good for her social skills. Also, she's 9 and she has OCNDS, so that's the CSNK2A1 group. We've just recently started using the constipation medicine. I wish I'd done it years ago, really. I don't know what stopped me. And we are great advocates of bribery. So we use reward charts for toilet training, toothbrushing, and for asking her to sleep in her own bed. And we also let her have play dates if she sleeps in her own bed for a week. Even though she will eventually come into our bed during the night, she will start off by going to sleep in her own bed. And a hack that we learnt at the meeting last week was the weighted blanket. So I had heard of it before, but I'd never used it because she always kicks the covers off. But we bought one this week and it really worked. She did sleep in her own bed. It did seem to comfort her having that weight at bedtime. So I would really recommend that. Thank you.
Hey, Claire, before you jump off, you mentioned constipation medicine. Do you mind sharing what that is that you use?
So it's a powder that we stir into her drink called Movicol, and she's only been using it for a few weeks, and we found that we had to reduce the dose because it did give her diarrhea in the beginning, but once we'd worked out how much she needed, which is about 1/4 teaspoon, then we found that it definitely helps to soften her stools and means that she doesn't spend hours and hours just straining to go.
Thanks, Claire. We appreciate you joining and sharing with us.
Thank
Greg.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Greg, the floor is all yours.
While we're waiting for Greg, Claire brought up these great points about trying the constipation medicine. I think it's always important to check with your doctor for things like that. But especially in a population, if your child is nonverbal or minimally verbal, or may not even feel pain the way that a normal child does, they may have some things going on that are causing them to not feel well that we're overlooking. So I think it's always really important to notice if your child is acting up or something seems out of the ordinary. I always go through kind of like a body check, like think about, are his ears bothering him? Is he having GI issues? And maybe it's time to go to the doctor to check up on some of those things that he's not communicating with me about.
And Greg's video is now on. So I think Greg is now ready to share. And thanks, Nerissa, for sharing too. So Greg, you can go ahead.
Looks like we lost Greg. I'm gonna share another comment that came in. Hi, I'm Luca from Italy, father to Giorgio. He has PPP to RD5D. He's had hypotonia since he was born. We've done a lot of physiotherapy and are now doing speech therapy because he's nonverbal. A few weeks ago, we bought an elastic trampoline and put it in our garden, and he loves it and seems to have great advantages on his equilibrium, stability, and coordination, and he highly recommends it.
And another comment that has been shared anonymously is someone says, something small. We used tight fitting shirts and a top type of sock from OT under her shirts, which helped my daughter to stay more calm. And I can actually second that one too. We have done some tight fitting socks or some compression garments during different types of therapy that have helped kind of center and regulate my son as well.
And I know some of the commercially available compression garments, such as a Spio suit or a Theratog. I think that there's multiple ones out there that actually have some research behind them and how they help with sensory regulation. So.
And I'll add one more comment on that too. There's also different levels of compression. So some children might want more compression and some might want less compression. So it's good to see what that individual child likes. And all right, we have Catherine, who's, I believe, on the line to share with us. You have the floor, Catherine.
Hello? No?
Hi.
Hi. Can you see me?
We can hear you. We cannot see you.
I'm trying to unblock it. It's not working. I'm Catherine. I've got a 16-year-old son. Oh, I think it's might be working. Who has SETBP1, and so we've been through just about everything. So I have a lot of. I'll try to be as quick as I can. The first thing we did was Makaton, which I don't know. I'm Canadian, but I live in the UK, so it might be a UK thing, but it's a form of sign language for children. It's just easier to learn. And that was great because my son was nonverbal for many years. That allowed him to start communicating with us when he was 18 months old. The next thing we did was the Nuffield dyspraxia program, which is similar to Kaufman. Teaching sounds, and also oral motor work was enormous for us because he couldn't make the face or the mouth shapes to make the actual words. Sensory integration was great for him. He explained a lot about him and his aggression and getting cross when people came too close to him or lightly brushed against him. He would lash out. We never could understand why. So that was really important part of his puzzle to figure out. When he was 7, he was diagnosed with an 80% tongue tie, and had surgery to help that. So, and I'd already suspected that, but I had to go see a specialist to have that confirmed. We saw 2 other ENTs who both said it wasn't a problem, but it actually was. Horse riding in the UK, there's the RDA, which is riding for disabled, and that's brilliant. It's been really good for him. He was in mainstream for primary, which was great for modeling behavior. He was moved to a special school for speech and language when he was 11, and that's been probably the best thing we've ever done. It's a great school, and everyone is on the same page. They're all specialists. They have a speech and language therapist in the classroom teaching the curriculum. So it's just been fantastic for him to have that. And that's it. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Catherine.
Yep. And it looks like we have Rhiannon in the group. Please take it away.
Hello. So I'm Rhiannon Kramer, and hello. Our daughter is 8, and she has the CSNK2A1 mutation, which causes the OCNDS. And for her early on, which was really paramount to not only living and thriving, but also for later on speech, was feeding therapy. She also had choking issues on food and swallowing issues, but also her mouth itself wasn't even moving the food appropriately, let alone moving around enough to appropriately and properly say words and sounds. So that was huge early on for her, was the feeding therapy. Along with, she also currently still does speech therapy and vision therapy, which I haven't heard very much about, but for her has also been massive to where she's gotten at this point in her life. Not just with the everyday visual of seeing objects, but also with movement. And her own movement in space and the objects around her, being able to properly see, like, where are those objects and where are they? But the other thing that's been really huge for her and for us as a family and her whole medical team has been daily communication logs with her school. We have probably a more involved one than most people probably do. But ours includes not just daily, what did I do in school today, but also what therapies did I have today? What did we do in those therapies? Did we have any medical problems or issues while we were at school today? Even when we were eating and feeding and toiletry, were there issues or problems, or did we go to the bathroom? Because that would be awesome also. And just having that communication, especially for not just us to know what's going on when she comes home and say, hey, did you do this in school today? And she's like, how did you know I did that? Because she won't tell us anything when she gets home. So we at least know what's going on. We can ask her and engage her and get that back and forth from the day. But also to bring to the doctors if there's problems and issues. So, which has been really huge, medication adjustments.
Thank you, Rhiannon, for sharing some really good tips and tricks there. So I'm going to share one that someone shared privately. It says, AAC was also successful for my son. He is verbal, but it decreased his verbal stems by allowing him to express more abstract ideas than he could previously. We realized that some of the stemming was his trying to get us to understand his thoughts instead of just what he was saying, i.e. stemming, go to school over and over again during the pandemic became, I wish I could go to school. Another thing that worked, music. Singing instructions to him to a familiar tune helped with receptive language and processing. He is enrolled in music therapy now, and it has done wonders for him in making connections with others and having things in common with typical peers.
That's wonderful. And I'm going to also throw out another question, and that is, any supports or programs that have been life-changing for you or your child. And I'll share one personally, and it's the Medicaid Waiver program. And I know that each state is different, and it's called something different from state to state, and what they cover is slightly different, and the funding is different, sometimes called a home and community-based waiver. a med waiver. And in Florida, where I live, we were able to get the waiver, and it has allowed us to get access to Medicaid as a secondary insurance. And it has also provided us with respite and personal care services. And there's also some unique programs, depending on which state that you're in, that are more consumer oriented, where you can actually hire your own employees instead of going through an agency, which sometimes allows family members or close friends of the family that you trust to actually be the ones providing the services. So I highly recommend, if you haven't heard of the Medicaid waiver program, or you haven't already applied, sometimes the wait lists are years in length. So it's great to do that homework and get on the list.
Yeah, Nerissa, I personally live in Texas, and our Medicaid waiver program is a 15-year wait list. So it's really important to get on that early. I was also going to just piggyback on that. And some states are easier and some states are harder to get on the Medicaid waiver plan, but I only just recently learned of another program in Texas, for example, is called Any Baby Can. And it sounds like a program to me that would just be helping babies and young children. But we have learned that regardless kind of income, they can help manage case management. They also provide payment for respite, and it can be people you know. So I was just going to say, even if you don't qualify for the Medicaid waiver, which if you can, that is awesome. But if you don't, or it's just like in Texas where it's really hard to get it, there are other programs available too. And I see that Aaron has been waiting. And so Aaron, you have the floor. Oh, Aaron, it looks like we can't see your little microphone, so we may need to come back to you. And then Greg, I think, Greg, you may be ready, and if so, feel free to jump in.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
All right.
Welcome, Greg.
I was trying before, and I guess I was on Safari, and I had to go to Zoom. So sorry about the interruption. My name's Greg. I have a 15-year-old son, Ben. He's been a lifelong journey for us. He's been diagnosed with a couple different rare things, but his last diagnosis was Jordan syndrome. A lot of this stuff, I just like to commend all you guys, because I'm a fighter for Ben. I'm a huge advocate. It's just, unfortunately, it seems like it's a full-time job, but some of the things, I was able to recently get him on Florida's APD waiver, which was a battle. I think the best treatment that, with Ben right now, unfortunately, we're he just reached 15. We hit the puberty age. The last year and a half has been really hard for him. We're kind of, unfortunately, losing ground instead of gaining ground. But like as far as speech, we've had the iPad talkers and stuff like that, which were huge. He did, luckily start speaking about 11 and a half, and we're making progress with that, which was great. I mean, we at one point thought Ben was never going to talk. Until he was 11, I think he might have had 4 words. But I think the best treatment that I like to put out there is just, all of us have to be the biggest advocate for these kids. We have to fight for the therapies. We need to make sure that they get everything that they deserve. Because I know in my case, it just seems that every time we make progress, someone's telling you no, they misdiagnosed them. It's a, your kid's the best. And I commend all of you for doing what you do, and thumbs up, keep up the battle because they need us. And that's, like I said, I just wanted to be the only guy up on the screen. So, but thank you for everything. I've learned a lot the last week and this week. I'm learning a lot more every day. And hopefully somewhere, we can take care of these kids that need taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. Erin, do you want to try again? Not seeing the microphone, but we have Cindy. Would you like to go ahead? We can see you, Cindy. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. And the first thing you hear is the dog, sorry. Oh. Okay. I kind of have more of a question for you all. I've been participating by typing in answers before now because of the noise in my house. But so both of you have experience with having a diagnosis for a while, and our diagnosis is more in the past 2 years, and we're rare. So what would you advise parents to do to try to find other parents other than Simon Searchlight, which we're part of, but there are other people that aren't part of that. So where would you advise a parent to start in organizing people and trying to move forward with figuring out what to do next?
So I'll start with, we are, parents, and this again, not an endorsement or anything, but I think one big way to start is just create a Facebook group that's like of the gene, if it's a specific gene. That is a huge way. Facebook is still a very common method for connecting with families. And that way too, you have a broader reach around the world. That's going to be one suggestion I'm going to share. And then Nerissa may want to share a second one.
Yeah, I would say, we were fourth in the world. So we started a Facebook group, and that helped. And I just went to like every social media outlet too. I made a Twitter account, which allowed me to reach kind of a different audience also, where I could get in touch with more professionals and researchers and doctors also. I made an Instagram account. I made a blog. And the blog, I think, got enough hits over time that if somebody got diagnosed and they Googled it, the blog would pop up. And so I have a contact me button on the blog. And so Haley and I are kind of in parallel paths, and our Hive P2 group, we have not made a nonprofit. We're just still a group of parents that are mostly connected through our Facebook group. Haley took another path. Do you want to share about?
Yeah. So yeah, we are official organization, SETBP1 Society, and we kind of formed that pretty early on, whereas I've seen with a lot of groups, they start more like how Nerissa's path is. They get enough people, like maybe connected via Facebook and starting, and then they say, well, maybe we should create a website, and then maybe we should form a nonprofit. And we kind of went with nonprofit, then, forming website, and then getting families. Ours took a while longer to grow. When my son was diagnosed, like I say, there wasn't a community, and it took over a year before I was connected with one other family in the United States with the same disorder. So I reached out to anybody who studied SETBP1, any researcher, I reached out and connected with them. Or if there was any specialist who had also had any affiliation to the gene, I reached out to them. So some of the connections were made that way. A specialist had seen a few patients and then she connected us with them. So a lot in the beginning was just reaching out and trying to just search for others in any way I could. The Facebook is a good just putting it out there on the side of sending out all the feelers you can as well. And so I'm going to share another comment that was posted anonymously. It says, pet therapy has also been great for my son. He has a cat and a rabbit, and they are very emotionally supportive, especially when he's having a tough day. His school also has a cat, dog, and chickens. They do a program called See, Spot, Read, also where therapy dogs come in and the kids read to them. Thanks for sharing that one.
That's amazing. And I'll kind of piggyback off of that as well. For those of you that are interested in having service dogs or therapy dogs or companion dogs, there is a wonderful nonprofit called Canine Companions for Independence. And they provide very high quality trained service dogs free of charge to families. It's a very long process. Sometimes it takes 1 to 2 years of interviewing and just making sure that the family and the child and the dog are all a right fit for each other. But there's some beautiful things that that organization has done by pairing up children and adults with needs with service dogs that are really, really making a difference on people's lives.
I can speak to, I don't know what program has been used, but I do know we have some SETBP1 families who also have some service dogs that they've found very helpful. I was going to share kind of like some equipment that has helped make life easier. For Cole, especially when he was younger, noise was a big issue. At first, we didn't really notice that it was noise when he was, very, very nonverbal, and he just would give big responses or kind of hang out on the periphery of a lot of things going on. And then when we identified that it was noise, it actually changed a lot of our things that we did. We just basically avoided a lot of situations that would be noisy. And what we discovered, which a lot of people may already use, but are just noise canceling headphones, they've been a huge lifesaver. And we just got some off of Amazon. And I think they're actually listed as their foldable earmuffs. So that's also kind of nice because they fit in a really tight spot. And then I think the ones that we got are actually sometimes used more for even hunting or, shooting loud weapons. And they were maybe $13. And it enabled us to go to movies, which we weren't able to do it all. We also went to see some live performances. And over time, he actually now hardly needs them at all. We did go to a demolition derby for the first time last week, and he was able to wear his headphones, during that loud and crazy event. And he loves cars, so it's made it where he can do things he wants to do. So I was just going to share that one in case you haven't tried that out yet.
And I'll share another anonymous comment that we got. ADHD medication had a paradoxical effect on my son, but low doses of anti-anxiety medication, along with a few tried and true supplements with doctor's advice, were a much better fit, along with a non-stimulant ADHD med. And I think that that's a really great point. It's something that we personally also have noticed is that a lot of times children that have a hard time communicating and seem to have ADHD and overexcitable and sensory things. There could be some underlying anxiety there that we're not even able to really recognize. And it's definitely worth, if you are looking for a medication, or there's some things that you're trying to overcome, if you have a doctor to speak with, to bring that up and see, because when we also started anti-anxiety medication, communication improved, behaviors reduced. It actually helped with his focus more than ADHD medicine as well. So everything's individualized, but it's just things to think about.
I'm going to share one more thing before we begin to wrap up. This one is not, this one is just something small. So a lot of our kids do have vision issues. And if you haven't ever used them, so coincidentally, both my kids, my one with SETBP1 disorder, my one without, have severe myopia, so severe nearsightedness. And we use Miraflex glasses, and they can sleep in them and wear them. And then as they get older, so I think around the age of 7 and 8, they then moved on to these nano glasses. But the important thing in Miraflex is it's like all plastic, and the lenses are plastic. So if my son got upset and he threw them on the ground, it didn't matter. If he sat on them, if he wanted, it didn't matter. They were so resilient. And then nano glasses have a little bit of harder plastic on the sides, but they can still sleep in them. So just a tip in case your kids need any glasses. So I think we are about to wrap up. I think we've gotten through most everybody's responses.
Yeah, so thank you again to everyone who participated today. This was such an amazing experience, and so cool to hear all these honest and interesting ideas from the community of parents. And it is reassuring and a healthy reminder that we are not alone. And we hope that you leave here today with some new ideas of things to explore.
We would like to thank everyone again for joining, and we invite Dr. Wendy Chung to share some closing remarks before we all sign off.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much, Nerissa, Haley. I learned so much from you all and from all the other parents who are attending. I have to say, I'm going to now be doing Hamilton and doing the all the different rhymes and be able to get some rhythm to it and say, wow, when we've got some different changes, when we've got to pivot on things. All of these life hacks, all of these experiences, everything you guys think about in terms of just being able to improve the lives of your kiddos, of your loved ones day to day, are just such great insight. And I really want to encourage the families. You're Dr. Mom, Dr. Dad, you're doing this 24/7. You are really seeing all of the details that at some point I'm sure are going to unlock incredible insights and the solutions for us tomorrow. So I encourage you in terms of being able to share that information, whether it's formally through Simon Searchlight, and if you join that, to be able to even write in text or talk to the genetic counselors and tell them about the things that either on the one hand have worked really well or the things that have not worked so well, so we can share that with researchers in the community to make the advances either for your particular condition, or a lot of the things I've heard today actually from the therapist, from the doctors, have actually been across conditions. And that's one of the great things about this meeting, is I think we've been learning from each other. I do want to thank all of the researchers, as I said, all of the therapists, everyone who's attended and donated their time. I learned a lot last week in terms of gene therapy and some of the things that are coming down the road in the future. And I do want to say, whether it's genetic therapies, whether it's behavioral therapies, we are very committed here at Simon Searchlight to be with you every step of the way, very much in the long term as we all go on this journey together. I know it feels lonely at times, but you're not alone. we're here as a community for each other, and we're not going anywhere. So I encourage you to help each other out, because as we do this, like I said, I do have this real feeling that tomorrow there's hope. There are so many things that are going on behind the scenes for researchers that are not here exactly tomorrow, but in terms of the tomorrows over the next few years, I can really palpably feel that we're on the edge of some amazing opportunities. So anyway, hang in there. I'm looking forward to Saturday and Sunday as well. And even more important, I'm looking forward to next August. So for those of you who are able to come in person to Baltimore, Maryland, we're looking forward to hopefully getting together and being able to even give each other hugs and smiles and play in the pool or have dinner together. So hopefully looking forward to those folks who can join us next year in Baltimore. As I said, the voice of the community, we very much want to hear your voice in terms of thinking of everything we're planning for Simon Searchlight in the next year and years ahead as we plan for clinical trials and being able to, like I said, really move the research forward. So anyway, thank you again, Haley, Nerissa. Shout out to Erica, who's been behind the scenes, really making everything run, and James at the Simons Foundation, all of the other team members at Simon Searchlight. I won't go through everyone's name, but thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, see you guys later.